Okay, now numerical number 7.8. A non-uniform bar of weight W is suspended at rest by two strings of negligible weight as shown in the figure. The angles made by the strings with the vertical are 36.9 degree and 53.1 degree respectively. The bar is 2 meter long. Calculate the distance d of the center of gravity on the bar from its left end. Okay, now see, first of all try to understand this figure. Now when here, if this line is extended, okay, if this angle is 36.9, then this angle must be 53.1, and if you extend this line in forward direction, and if it is 53.1, then this must be 36.9 degree. Okay, so this is very clear. Now tension which are produced here, they are denoted as T1 and T2 and their components are taken. Okay, so this figure now you can understand easily. Okay, tension produced in the first string is T1 and tension in the second string is T2, and here, as I have explained, the angle is 53.1. So this side, the component of tension towards A prime is T1 cos 53.1, and perpendicular to it, the component of tension T1 is T1 sin 53.1. Similarly, for T2, the component towards right, towards B prime is T2 cos 36.9, and here this vertical component is T2 sin 36.9. Okay, here now the distance of the center of gravity is taken as d from the left end of the rod from this point A. The distance of G is d. Okay, the total length of this rod is 2 meter. So at this end, from this end, that is from B, the distance will be 2 minus d, because this distance is taken as d. Okay, now this is very clear from the figure. Now we can proceed further. Here the T1 cos 53.1 and T2 cos 36.9 are equal in magnitude, opposite in direction, because it is in translational equilibrium. The rod is not going to move either in this direction or in this direction because of these two forces. So these two forces are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. So T1 cos 53.1 is equal to T2 cos 36.9. That is written as first equation. Okay, here. Okay, then this downward forces and the upward forces you try to take into consideration. Here the upward force is T1 sin 53.1, the other one is T2 sin 36.9, and that will be equal to the weight of the rod which is in the downward direction. So second equation is written T1 sin 53.1 plus T2 sin. It must be here, it must be sin. Okay, sin 36.9 is equal to W. Okay, now we take the torque with respect to point A. Try to understand, we are taking the torque by considering as a reference point A. It is neither performing translational motion nor performing rotational motion, so it is in the rotational equilibrium. Now we are considering as A as our reference point. So this point is our reference point, try to understand. And with respect to this A, we will take the torque. Now this torque will be because of T2 sin 36.9, and it will be in this direction, that is anti-clockwise. Okay, and this will be in this direction. Okay, with respect to the point A. Okay, so both the torques, one torque is in this direction, that is in anti-clockwise direction, okay, and this torque due to this, okay, because the reference point is A, this is our reference point, this is our position vector, and this is the force, okay. So now if you rotate r cross f, then that will be in this direction, that is in the clockwise direction. So one torque is in anti-clockwise direction, the other torque is in the clockwise direction. Both the torques are opposite to each other, so one is positive, the other one is negative. So if you want to take the first torque, that is the magnitude of force is T2 sine 36.9 multiply by perpendicular distance, that is how much, 2 meter. So one torque is this. If you take this as positive, then the other torque is force multiply by perpendicular distance. Force is W, perpendicular distance is D. Now if you take this torque as negative, then this must be positive, and this is equal to 0. That is given in the next equation, okay. See, it is T2 sine 36.9, okay, T2 sine 36.9 into AB, that is 2, plus W into D, that is equal to 0, what I have written, okay. So one is positive, the other one is negative, okay. So that is very clear, W into D is taken as positive. Now make T2 as a subject of formula, you can get WD upon 2 sine 36.9, okay. And from 2 and 3, second equation, and from third equation, see, second equation gives us the W, that is T1 sine 53.1 plus T2 sine, it is, this is sine 36.9 is equal to W, okay. So just combining these two equations, okay, T2 is WD upon 2 sine 36.9. From equation 2 and 3, we can get T1 sine 53.1 is equal to W minus T2 sine 36.9. What is done in this equation? That is in equation number 2. Okay, in equation number 2, this is taken, this sine 36.9 is taken the other side. Okay, so what will happen? You will have T1 sine 53.1. Okay, you will have T1 sine 53.1 is equal to W minus T2 sine 36.9. Okay, so T1 sine 53.1 is equal to W minus T2 sine 36.9, and that is written here. Okay, and instead of this T2WD, okay, instead of this T2, now they have placed the value here, okay, WD upon 2 sine 36.9. Okay, here that value sine 36.9 will be cancelled out, so you will have WD by 2, so W is again common. Okay, so W minus WD upon 2, W is common. Okay, so we will have W is common, so we will have 1 minus D by 2 upon sine 53.1. Okay, because now T1 is made subject of the formula, so sine 53.1 which is there, okay, that is taken in the denominator of this, that is W into bracket 1 minus D by 2 upon sine 53.1. Okay, and from equation 1, T1 cos 53.1 is equal to T2 cos 36.9. So instead of T1, now this value is substituted in equation 1. T1 we got, so instead of this T1 we put this value. Okay, so our equation will become W into 1 minus T by 2 cos 53.1 upon sin 53.1 is equal to, okay, then it is simplified. Okay, 1 minus D by 2 you can write as WD cos 36.9 upon 2 sin 36.9. Okay, so you can simplify now easily, and the value of D can be obtained. Okay, values of sin, that is cos is not there, so sin upon cos will become 10. So this become 1 upon 10. 1 upon 10 means in the denominator 10 theta will go. Okay, so this value you can see from the natural tangent. Okay, that is 0.7508. Sin 53.1 is also seen in the table. Okay, so easily it can be calculated, because this also becomes 10. This is sin upon cos, and 1 upon 10 it becomes, both the values can be seen in the natural tangent table, and you can simplify and get the value of D. Or you can easily calculate the value of D. Okay, here W is cancelled out. Okay, this W is removed rather. Okay, and the value of tan theta is taken into consideration, and the value of D is obtained, that is 72.1 centimeter. Okay, here we have to take into consideration, the main thing is that when these values are kept here, say T1, then that T1 is taken from this equation. So instead of this T1 we have placed this. Okay, W into 1 minus D by 2 upon sin 53.1. So here it is kept. Cos 53.1 remains as it is. And instead of this T2, we have already obtained the value of T2 also. And that value of T2 is here. That is WD upon 2 sin 36.9. So that T2 is kept here in this equation. Instead of this T2, we are writing WD upon 2 sin 36.9, and that cos 36.9 remains as it is. And then this sin upon cos is made 1 upon 10. This sin upon cos is also made 1 upon 10. And it has been simplified. Here W is cancelled out. So tan theta is in the denominator, and those values you can see from the natural tangent, and easily the value of D can be calculated. Now a car weight 1800 kg, the distance between its front and back axle is 1.8 meter. Okay, its center of gravity is 1.05 meter behind the front axle. So these are the 4 wheels as such. Okay, and here the center of gravity is 1.05 meter behind the front axle, and from the back axle it is then becomes 0.75 meter. Determine the force exerted by the level ground on each front wheel and each back wheel. Okay, now we consider here, this can be understood easily. These are the masses. Okay, mass. Okay, so total mass is M, and M, that of front side. Then here the lower side, they say 2M is the mass in the front, then the lower will have the mass 1800 minus 2m, that will be the mass of backward side, this is of forward side. Try to understand. Now you consider this front side, this center of gravity is at 0. So front side is having the coordinate, say the front side is having coordinate 1.05, that is positive, and this back side here the coordinate will be minus 0.75, because it is back in backward direction. Okay, so the one coordinate is positive, the other coordinate is negative. This is your R1 and this is your R2. Now easily it can be calculated as two body problem. F1 R1, see this is some of the steps are basic here that I am doing. Okay, here M1 R1. So M1 is considered as 2m, RCM is equal to M1 R1. R1 is 1.05 plus the other one is 1800 minus 2m. 1800 minus 2m, the other coordinate is minus 0.75. Okay, divided by total mass, that is 1800, and this RCM is taken on the origin, so this becomes 0. So 1800 into 0 will become 0. 1800 multiplied by 0 will become 0. So now you will only have the numerator with you. This part will be there. Okay, so that can be written as 2m into 1.05, okay, plus 1800 and 2m will have 2 common, so 2 into 900 minus m into minus 0.75, that is equal to 0, and this 2 will go in the denominator of 0. So now you will have this part, okay, this equation you will have 1.05, okay, m, 1.05 m, because 2 is going in the denominator. Okay, so 1.05 m minus 0.75, because this plus and minus is plus and this minus will become minus. Okay, so now you will have this equation and you multiply 0.75 with 900, so you will get minus 675, minus and minus will become plus, that is 0.75 m, and now easily m can be calculated. Okay, you can make m as a subject of formula, and we will have the mass of one side in front is 375, so its weight will be 375 into 9.8, that is 3675, and behind one wheel, okay, each wheel rather, one wheel will have 900 minus 375, okay, because we had two wheels, so it has been divided by 2, so it becomes 900 minus 375. Okay, it was taken as 1800 minus 2m, so one wheel will have 900 minus m. Okay, so it will become 525 and multiplied by 9.8 will give you the force exerted on each back wheel. Okay, now we will have 7.11. okay, torques of equal magnitude are applied to a hollow cylinder and a solid sphere, both having the same mass and radius. The cylinder is free to rotate about its standard axis of symmetry, and the sphere is free to rotate about its axis passing through the center. Which of the two will have acquired greater angular speed after a given time? Now see, as we consider that I1 and I2 are their moment of inertia of hollow cylinder and solid sphere. Okay, and omega 1 and omega 2 are the angular velocities, and alpha 1 and alpha 2 as the angular acceleration. Now as you are applying equal torque, and torque is equal to, as you know, it is I alpha. So both the torques are same, so I1 alpha 1 is equal to I2 alpha 2. So So this equation is written first. So I1 upon I2 is alpha 2 upon alpha 1. I1, that is moment of inertia of the hollow cylinder. You can see from the table it is mr square. The other is solid sphere, that is 2 by 5 mr square. Mass and radius both are same for the cylinder and the hollow and the sphere. So alpha 2 upon alpha 1. So this mr square will be cancelled out. You will have 5 by 2 is equal to alpha 2 upon alpha 1. Now you can find the omega. Omega is omega 0 plus alpha t. An initial value of omega 0 is 0. So omega 1 is equal to alpha 1 into t, and omega 2 is alpha 2 into t. If you take the ratio of omega 1 to omega 2, then this becomes alpha 1 upon alpha 2, and alpha 2 upon alpha 1 is 5 by 2. So alpha 1 upon alpha 2 will be 2 by 5. So we can say that omega 2 is greater than omega 1. The angular speed of the solid sphere will be greater than the hollow cylinder. Okay. Now we will have 7.12. A solid cylinder of mass 20 kg rotates about its axis with angular speed of 100 radian per second. The radius of the cylinder is 0.25 meter. What is the kinetic energy associated with the rotation of the cylinder? What is the magnitude of angular momentum of the cylinder about its axis? Now see, first of all we find the moment of inertia. It is 1/2 mr square for this rotating cylinder. Okay, we have the what you call it, we have a solid cylinder. So 1 by 2 mr square is the moment of inertia that you can see from the table. Mass is given, radius is given, so easily I can be found. Okay, now it is tied in this way. Okay, now you just rope is curled on it, and if you just push or pull this rope this side, then it will start performing the rotational motion. So kinetic energy will be 1/2 I omega square. Okay, I is there 0.625, omega is given 100 radian per second. So just we have to calculate 1/2 I omega square. Very easy to calculate. 3125 joule will be the kinetic energy, and angular momentum L is equal to I omega. Again I and omega both are multiplied, then you will get the value of angular momentum. Okay. Now 7.13. Okay, a child stands at a center of the turntable with his two arms outstretched. The turntable is set rotating with the angular speed of 40 revolutions per minute. How much is the angular speed of the child if he folds his hands back and he thereby reduces the moment of inertia to 2 by 5 times the initial value? Let initial value be I1. Then the new value when he folds his arm, I2 will become 2 by 5 times the initial, that is 2 by 5 I1. Now as you know, according to the law of conservation of angular momentum, okay, we have L is equal to I omega, so I1 omega 1 is equal to I2 omega 2. Okay, so omega 2 will be I1 upon I2 omega 1, and I1 upon I2 will be from this, or we can write I1 upon I2 to be 5 by 2. Okay, so just omega 1 is calculated here in radian per second. 40 revolution per minute it is, so 40 into 2 pi divided by the time, that is 60 okay, minute is converted into second. So 4 by 3 pi radian per second it becomes. Okay, so just place these values and get the answer of omega 2 very easy. Now initial rotational kinetic energy is K1, that is 1/2 I1 omega 1 square. Last, that is final, is I2 omega 2 square multiplied by 1 by 2. Take the ratio. Okay, so it is very easy again. Okay, I2 upon I1 omega 2 square upon omega 1 square, and if you place these values, okay, then just you can get the answer, that is 5 by 2. So K2 is 2.5 times the K1. Okay. Hence, child down, back his hand, rotational kinetic energy is 2.5 times to when the child fold his hands. The increase in the rotational kinetic energy is attributed to the internal energy of the body. So whatever is the increase in the kinetic energy, that kinetic energy is seen as depicted, or it is seen in the increase in its internal energy of the body. Okay, now we have 7.14. A rope of negligible mass is wound around the hollow cylinder of mass 3 kg and radius 40 centimeter. Here radius is in centimeter, so radius is 0.4 meter. What is the angular acceleration of the cylinder if the rope is pulled with the force of 30 Newton? Okay, just it is first you find mr square, that is for the hollow cylinder. Okay, moment of inertia easily can be found, m into r square. Torque is Rf sin 90 as the cylinder is like this. Okay, and if the thread is wound and if it is pulled, then the force is always perpendicular because it is tangential to the cylinder. Okay, so the angle between the radius and the force will be 90, so Rf sin 90, and you will have the value of torque, that is R into F. R is 0.4, force is 30 Newton, so it is 12 Newton meter. Torque is I alpha, so alpha can be calculated easily. Okay, because tau is there, torque is 12 Newton. Okay, torque is I alpha, I is also there, 0.4 kg meter square, get the value of alpha. Okay, and tangential acceleration AT is R alpha and radial acceleration is 0. So tangential acceleration AT is equal to R into alpha. Just we have to find R into alpha. Okay, that will be 10 meter per second square. This way you write as AT square plus AR square and you find, or you just find this way. Okay, R alpha whole square and then you take the square root and find the answer will be same only. Okay, thank you very much. Calculate these sums 2-3 times and write in the notebook. Okay.